Hello and welcome to my review of the Necron Scarabs. Now these three 40mm bases worth of Scarabs, I don't think you can buy them separately anymore. They come in the box set of Necron Warriors, which contains 12 warriors and these three bases of Scarabs, and that box set will cost you £22. Alternatively, you get a box set of warriors with these Scarabs in the Start Collecting box set for Necrons, the new one, for £50. So one way of looking at it is that you get the Annihilation Barge or Command Barge, the Immortals and the Overlord for £28, which is pretty good actually. Okay, so I thought I'd do a review of these separately from the Warriors because they do have their own separate codex entry. It's going to be quite a short review, but nonetheless I wanted to spend time on these little guys. They're very, very cute. One of the easiest models to put together. Very easy just to clip them off the sprue, to shave some of the mould lines off. The mould lines are mainly on these stalks that hold them up, and they're going to be super easy to paint. You can smash out many of these. All you need to do from this stage is just spray them with the lead belcher, give them a shade of Nuln Oil and highlight them with Necron compound, following a little bit of detail on the edges and things, and that's it, pretty much done for these. You can get the Necron army finished relatively quickly. I will be doing a painting guide if I haven't already put one up, so if you do want to see that, just stay subscribed to the channel and that video will pop up eventually. So I've gone for a little bit of a different sort of tact on them, haven't put them all together. I've put those in like two pairs. These are sort of very close together, and then these are extremely close together. But you know, these bases, because they're so big, there's a lot of gaps. So feel free, I haven't just for the sake of this video, but feel free to put a little bits of tank on there, or guns, or whatever, or people. I don't know. Up to you. But you can really fill out and flesh out these bases to make them tell more of a story rather than sort of four like floaty little metal spiders, if that makes sense. Okay, so size comparisons. If you can't already tell, these are absolutely tiny. Yes, they're even smaller than a standard Space Marine. If you can see this sort of size comparison, they probably go up to knee height, but they are floating about and things, and it would be nice to see them on, you know, sort of higher bases, but maybe they have a limit to their height that they can sort of fly about on. But yeah, probably about knee height for a Space Marine, and Primera Space Marine could easily just squish these as if they were kind of tarantulas or something like that. Okay, so size comparison compared to a couple of the other Necron units. So here's your Lich Guard and here's your Immortal. So yeah, they are definitely the smallest unit by far of the whole Necron army, but again they share a lot of aesthetics with the sort of metallic spider kind of feel. They'll work really well with the rest of the units. Next to Wraiths, obviously I don't really need to do this, but same size base look, but the Wraith is much bigger. I suppose these little Scarabs would go really well with like a bigger, you know, Canoptic Spider or something. I think the Canoptic Spider has some special rules that really buff these as well. This is just the Cryptek from the Forgebane box set, but that just goes to show you there. I mean, he works really well with those sort of floating around him, I suppose, you know. So there you go. That's all the size comparisons for the Scarabs. Okay, so I should have said before, you don't get any spare parts with these. Each base consists of basically 8 parts, which is the Scarabs themselves and their little stands. So very quick and easy to build and add to your Necron army. So this is my part of the review where I'll go through all of the rules for the Canoptek Scarabs. You'll find them in your brand new 8th edition Necron Codex under Fast Attack. There are power points cost of a 2 and a points cost of 13 per model. So I think that, you know, 13 points is just for one of these, which has like four of them on there. Not that pricey really, 13 points for one of these little bases basically. So for that squad there, you're looking at what, 39 points, which isn't too bad. So let's go through their stat line. Their movement is 10 inches, so very fast. Not as fast as the Wraiths, but still faster than most of the other things in the army, so 10 inches. Weapon skill is 4+. That's not too bad. considering that they are little metal spiders. What's that? Is that the same weapon skill as an Imperial Guard who trains most of his life just to fight in combat? That's pretty good. They don't have ballistic skill because they don't shoot. Their strength is only 3, toughness is only 3. They do have 3 wounds. So even though there's 4 of them, that base has 3 wounds. Quite odd. They do have 4 attacks though, which again is odd. And their leadership is 10, very high leadership there, and their save is 6+. They don't have an invulnerable save, they just have this 6+ normal save. So they're gonna be dropping like flies. 3 wounds isn't too bad, but their toughness is going to be easy to strip them down, and their save of 6+, yeah, they're just going to drop very easily. So the unit contains 3 Scarab swarms, which this one does, and it may include up to 3 additional Scarab swarms at power rating of +2, or 6 additional. So you can have 9 swarms, and obviously 9 would be 36 attacks. So that's a fair amount of attacks there for a power points cost of 6. And each swarm is equipped with feeder mandibles. So feeder mandibles, this is their main weapon. Their strength is a user, that's a bit poor, it's only strength 3. AP is nothing, damage is 1, but if the target's toughness is higher than this attack strength, this weapon always wounds the target on a wound roll of a 5+. That's the main reason you're getting them. Yeah, they have 4 attacks each, so just this little unit here would have 12 attacks, but it's the fact that if the toughness is higher than the strength of 3, you're going to find that a lot. You know, even normal Space Marines, it's 4+. The bigger units, even the vehicles, if their toughness is 7 or 8 or something like that, they're always going to be rolling on the 5+. So that sort of helps with their you know, low strength, and definitely plays on their high number of attacks. The faction keywords, they're Necrons, Canoptech, Dynasty, Swarm, Fly, and Canoptech Scarabs. So that's it for the rules. I think they're best off, the bigger swarm the better with these guys, because they don't have the best toughness or save, they don't have anything invulnerable, they do have the fly keyword, so are going to be zipping about 10 inches. They don't have any abilities, you know, they don't have reanimation protocols where they can just build themselves up. I would have liked to have seen them have an ability, something to, you know, that's good against vehicles rather than just this toughness thing. Maybe they're, you know, specialised at just eating vehicles, or just, you know, munching on organic life. So that would have been a nice thing to add to them, but they're such a low points cost that you can have many swarms of these, and they're going to pump out the attacks. They're going to get there because their movement is 10 inches, and they're going to be a great use as a tar pit against some of the higher toughness vehicles and creatures in the game. That's primarily what I would use them for if I was going to use them, because they don't have a transport method, they can't teleport in, they're just going to be zipping about and trying to munch on things in combat. However, if you choose to pick a Canoptech Spider, which is a heavy support choice, which is a good option because it has toughness 6 and a save of 3+. The Canoptech Spider has an ability called a Scarab Hive. You can roll a d6 for each Canoptech Scarab unit from your army that is below its starting number of models within 6 inches of friendly spiders. On a 1, one of those Canoptech Spider units within 6 inches of the unit being rolled for suffers a mortal wound, but on a 2+, the unit being rolled for unleashes reinforcements, and you return a Canoptech Scarab Swarm to the depleted unit in unit coherency more than 1 inch from the enemy models. So that's the only kind of ability that I can see from another unit that helps them out. It helps them replenish their stock, and on a 2+, that's very much going to happen. If you were going to have, you know, 6 or more Scarab Swarms, I think it would be worth paying that Canoptech Spider tax, as it were, and just getting one of those. I mean, the Canoptech Spider's pretty good anyway. It's got a very decent, strong, you know, stat line. Although he is quite slow at 6 inches, which is a bit odd. I would have expected him to be, you know, 8 inches or maybe 10 inches. but he does have some nice weapons. Has a decent range weapon and decent melee weapon. He has the Gloom Prism and he has the Fabricated Claw Array, which can repair your vehicles. So if I was using 6 or more Scarab Swarms, I'd take the Spider as well, just to bump them up. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about the Canoptek Scarabs. What do you guys think? Are they a must in your Necron army? Personally, I really like the look of them. I think they're very simple and fit the aesthetics of Necrons. You can just imagine them flying about, trying to munch on bigger things as a swarm. But please do, put all your comments down below as always. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. All hail the machine.